Hello everyone, Kalive here, and welcome back to Ark Survival Ascended, the island. So we are here in the base. A lot has changed. I've been doing a little bit of work on the base, mostly with storage. So we do have some vaults. We do have all of the artifacts that we need to do the bosses, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So we'll be doing some bosses starting with the Broodmother. And what we're also going to be doing is a few more things to get caught up on those boss preparations. So before that, I did start working on a checklist for the boss fights. So we need to make sure that we have all the stuff ready to go before we head over there. And we're going to be using the red obelisk. That's going to be where we're going to summon the bosses, or I guess teleport to the boss arenas. And then as far as other things, what we have to do now is finish leveling up some megatheriums. I have these two here that have just been fully grown, and we have this group over here that are really close to being done, and these are all the parents. So I did wind up getting a mutation on damage, so we do have 48 damage mutations, and we also have just the base stats, which is 46 damage and 38 health. So the goal for the megatheriums is going to be to get them to 15k health and 800% damage. That's going to be the stats that we're going to use to fight the bosses, well, the Broodmother. And the Broodmother isn't that difficult with megatheriums because the megatherium buff does provide a lot of damage resistance and also a lot of damage boosting. So even the alpha Broodmother shouldn't be that difficult with megatheriums just because of that specific ability that they have to get the bonus damage and resistance. And of course we're going to be using our UD. So this is the UD that we have. It is a decent UD. And we do have a saddle for it. I did get this saddle blueprint from Scorched Earth. So it is from Scorched Earth, but if you were looking for these on the island, I would recommend the deep sea loot crates or the underwater caves, the red drops from the underwater caves. You might be able to find them in the red crates inside of the snow caves as well. I believe they have a small chance of spawning in those. But other than that, yeah, I did find this one on Scorched Earth. The blueprints on Scorched Earth are so much easier to get for Uteranus's because there's not very many things that would take up a red drop as far as saddles go, and so saddle and blueprints are easier to find for UDs on there. And then the other thing that I did, been working on leveling up the Rexes and getting those guys prepared. These things are in much better shape. They will fight the Megapithecus. They do have 41 damage and 46 health. And Rexes in general just do a lot of damage. So you don't need to have like Mega Rexes for that. The 41 damage and then the 46 health is pretty good. And once again, I'll probably have these guys at 25k health, and they will probably be close to 800% damage, roughly. And then the problem child for me on this playthrough has been the Therizinosaurs. So they do have 39 damage mutations and 36 health. This is the best I could find, and I've looked at a lot of Therizinosaurs. I've cleared out a lot of Therizinosaurs around me. I even went to 150 just a couple days ago, and I can show you it, but the stats were terrible. Like, it's very, very bad. I think the damage was 34. So yeah, these have been the huge problem. I did recently find a saddle for these. This is a saddle that I found previously, but yeah, I do have a blueprint for the saddles for these things. I'd actually found two of them. I found those in the water caves. Been doing the water caves just specifically for these saddles, and also some black pearls because we're going to be doing tech pretty soon. So the saddles are going to be, let's look at the saddles real quick because they aren't terrible, and they're definitely going to be needed just because of the way the dragon damage works. The fact that these are terrible versions of Therizinosaurs. I'm still hopeful to find another Therizinosaur and then try to breed it in really quick. But I don't think I have enough time to do that. It's going to take quite a bit of time to get a whole new batch of Therizinosaurs raised up and stuff like that. So these are the saddles that I found. One of them is okay, like 80 and 87. These are not terrible. This is actually a pretty good purple saddle. 80 armor is on the higher end of that, what you can get from there. I think I have an 84 purple saddle, but yeah, 80 armor is definitely pretty good. So I'm probably going to use this one because it's so much cheaper. It's 394 metal versus this one is 864 metal. So I can crank out quite a few more of these saddles than I could for these saddles. And it's going to be much easier to get these crafted as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The other thing is the Rexes. The Rexes, I am pretty close to being done. I have all the saddles, I believe, for the Rexes crafted. I also have a lot of Rexes raised up. They just need to be leveled up. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much it as far as updates goes. Quite a bit's happened. And oh yeah, I did find a Karchar. So I was on the center, and I did find a Karchar on the center map. That was 140. I'll put the stats up for both of the Karchars so you can see the difference. But once again, the damage on the new Karchar was terrible. For the level that we got it at, it was just terrible. And the old Karchar wasn't too much farther off, but it is a slight upgrade. So I will be finishing up the breeding for those. I'm still trying to get a breeding pair. I just put those away because I've been breeding up Megatheriums, and it's really bad if you run out of food. And Karchars eat a lot of food. So I only break out a Karchar if I'm actually going to be farming up some meat. And then I put them away because they will destroy all the food sources for the Megatheriums, which makes it hard to raise them up. So what I'm going to do now is finish leveling up, and then I think what we'll do is we'll head over to the Red Obelisk, and I'll pick up over there once I am done with all the Megatheriums and I have all my stuff on a list on me. We can kick off some bosses. So I will see you over there when I am ready. Alright, here we are at the Red Obelisk, and we're about to do the boss fight for the Broodmother. And what we need to do is we need to check out what that requires. I have all the artifacts over here. So we're doing this one. This requires Clever, Massive, and Hunter for the easy version. So I do have all my Megatheriums out here, and they're easy to fit into this slot. I also have my Uteranus as well. So we should be set. So what I have on me is I got rid of all my gear. I just put on some regular clothing. This is all chitin stuff just to have a little bit of armor in case I fall off or I need to switch different dinos or whatever. I can do that without dying instantly. I got some med brews as well, and I got some soups, just normal soups, and I got some bug spray just because it could help with the spiders that are swarming. So we'll have to see. So things you want to do, you want to turn off this guy from following group whistles. So you want to remove the group whistles. It should look like this. It should have like a little line through it. And that means it's not following group orders. Because when you start ordering your dinos to attack, you want this one to not do that, because you want it to be next to you. Make sure everything's on passive as well. So let's make sure this one's on passive. And let's make sure these are on passive. So put it on passive. Go ahead and copy all the settings over. You do want these to follow orders, so you don't want them to not have that setting set. So you want them to follow orders. And you saw that was 18 here. So we have 19. We got missing one. Oh no, sorry, this is the 19th one right here. And it set it to 18 other ones. So we have a total of 20 here. Make sure you don't have your pet on you or your shoulder mount. Mine's in here. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You're not going to need any weapons on you for this boss fight. Maybe the other ones you might. But this one you're very rarely going to be shooting. Most of the time you're going to be doing the Courage Roar. So I would recommend that you get used to doing the Courage Roar. It is C on the PC. So whatever the third attack button is on console, that's what it's going to be for those. And you also want to make sure that you know the keybinds for your attack this target, because you want everything to attack a target. And then also, like, the move to command is probably a good one to know. And then the other one would be passive. So you want to have these three mapped out. And if you don't have those three mapped out, you probably want to map them, and then you want to write them somewhere just in case you're not familiar with how to do that. Because you will need these later on, especially in the harder fights like the Alpha Dragon and stuff like that. So it's just going to be very helpful to have those things like understood, and probably want to practice before you do this, just so that you know how that works. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. And once you have those things set up, you are going to be going in there and you're going to be using the commands to attack the Broodmother. And that's roughly all that it takes to do this. So let's go get the artifacts, Hunter, like all the green ones. This one, and this one? Maybe this one. I don't remember which one it was. Massive or pack. Let's see. Yeah, you probably just find a good spot to go in there. Yeah, this is very easy to fit all these into like one little section. It's harder for other things, like Rexes and Wyverns. So for this one we're gonna need... Okay, so all three of these. We're gonna need the pack. Let's put that one away. And that's pretty much it. We're ready to go. We can just press the button and get started. Make sure nothing else is in the circle. So this outer ring needs to be clear of everything. So like this is fine. This is a good enough distance away. Everything inside of the circle is going to be teleported. That includes shoulder mounts. So you want to make sure you don't have your shoulder mount on you. And that's really it. This is a pretty easy, straightforward one. Doesn't require much else. Doesn't require a lot of strategy either. Just have to get the dinos to the right level. And then we're going to go in there and attack. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's open it up. It's highlighted. It's got the green ring around it. Then we just double click it. So to get us started, you do have a countdown. So hop on your mount. Might drink everything. We'll be good to go. So I'll see you in there. Got a little bit of a lag here. Let's just get everybody over there. Like lagging hard right now. Let's just have an attack. Alright, let's just put everything on neutral. Alright, there we go. Okay, there we go. Man, that was weird. Alright, let's just boost them up. Massive damage. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Okay, yeah, that was a very terrible start. I got really lagged for some reason. Let's go get this little crate right here. This is what the boss drops. And yeah, we just get 20 element and the head. So nothing too great. But yeah, these guys, they're They're taking a lot of damage early on. This is all probably just stuff from different things. That one's pretty beat up right there. Okay, we'll have to definitely go back and reevaluate this. This guy was like stuck for some reason. I couldn't get onto him. Very weird. Alright, so once the timer runs out, then you're able to go ahead and teleport back. So you do have a little bit of time to get things ready. Everything the boss would drop would have dropped in that little crate, so that should be fine. Let's head back and then I'll reevaluate what we just experienced. Alright, we're back on the island. We're kind of like in the air. There we go. Fell down there. So yeah, that was interesting. I got lagged out, but then my dino would not be... I couldn't mount it for some reason. I don't know what was causing that. So I'll have to reevaluate how I position these guys maybe in the beginning. I might start them off in neutral as well. That might be the better thing to do. I'm gonna put them in neutral and then, yeah, just see how that goes. So we did have a few of them take some damage. Let's look at our list here. Alright, so let's look through the lists. I think we do just group now. Yeah, this one's got down a little bit of damage. 11k is what it's at. It's down to 10k, 9k. Some of these were getting hit really early on. Yeah, I think that's the lowest, 9k. So yeah, unfortunately that was kind of rough. This one's 7k. Yeah, yikes. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely just put them on neutral to start off with, just in case something like that happens again and I can't get on my dino for some reason. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again, because at later difficulties that does become a problem. So when you do complete a boss battle, you get some stuff, you get a flag, you get a gamma head, which this is what you're going to need to unlock the overseer, the gamma overseer. And then we get some element. And the element we can use to craft stuff. You also unlock the tech engrams. So tech engrams are a specific engram set. They don't require points, but you unlock them by defeating bosses. And so what we unlocked was a tech replicator. I think every one of those does unlock a tech replicator. So we are able to build the tech replicator now, which is nice. And with that, we can also go ahead and build some other things. We don't really get too much, just the foundations and some crafting stuff. You really need a replicator, and you're also going to need a generator. That's like the two biggest things to get started on the tech stuff. So we can't really get too much into tech yet, but pretty soon we will be able to get into the tech tier once we actually get the generator unlocked as well. But at the very least we can make this right now and then have it sit there until we get the generator unlocked, because the first thing you want to create with it is a generator, because then that would let you more efficiently convert your element into power, whereas you're just throwing element in here and then you're having to run it one at a time, which is not as efficient. But with this you can see the costs. So the cost is pretty high. It is their main crafting device. So the 5,000 metal ingots is not that bad. 600 crystal isn't that bad, but the biggest thing is going to be the 150 black pearls. It's going to be a huge cost. It's going to require me to go back into the water. I think I have over 100 right now. I did find an alpha mosasaur and killed that, and you get like about 100 from that. Alpha tusos are pretty similar, so if you need to find the alphas, you can go into the northwestern corner or southeastern corner. You can find alphas in that area. But yeah, we'll talk about that more once we actually get a few more boss kills under our belt. So what I do now is I need to go ahead and get these guys situated in a good spot, kind of spread them out a little more, and then have these ones that are damaged, kind of heal them up. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to do that. Could go get a Daedon, and that'll heal up these things pretty quickly. But that does take up a lot of food, and it's more of a pain, I think, in the end. The other thing is you can just force feed the ones that are low, like the lowest, and then try to get them all back up to the same level. But yeah, so I think for the most part, they did pretty good. A lot of these guys are barely damaged. so it shouldn't be too bad. Just the ones that were damaged were the ones that weren't able to fight right away, so that's kind of the unfortunate side of things. I need to like get everything out of here. Let's just do that. Let's just get everything over here. Don't fall off. Okay, good. Yeah, I'll get them all situated, and then like, we should be fine after that. But yeah, it was very weird. We did get quite a bit of stuff from these things too. Some chitin, all the little spiders that are around them. You get a bunch of chitin from that. Might use that chitin to get some more cementing paste and stuff like that. The meat I throw back in here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We could just go ahead and just get them all healed up, and we can go to the beta next. So the beta does require us to have a few things. So if we look at the beta, it's the same artifacts, but it does require us to have Argentavis talons, Sarcosuchus skins, and sauropod vertebrae, and then Titanoboa venom. We have, I believe, everything for this. But Alpha's 10, so if we go and look at what we have, we might need more sauropod stuff. So let's look at what we have. We have sauropods. 15, okay, so that's enough. We do need more Sarcosuchus skins. We need 15 of these. We have 15 talons, and we have 15 venoms. So we just need to get some more Sarcosuchus skins. And I think we should be fine with these. Yeah. So we really need 15 of each things. So that's kind of what we need to work on as well. The other bosses. This one I'm just gonna go run pretty close by and then grab that stuff from there. While these guys heal up as much as they can. I'm gonna go ahead. Does this one have a saddle? This one have a saddle on it. Where did I lose a saddle? That's why it's so damaged. It doesn't have a saddle on it. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll fix a lot of this stuff, and then we'll, now that we did the easier version, we can get the medium version. They should be easier the next time around. We won't be having the same issues that we just had. So yeah, I'll get ready, and then we'll come back for the beta. Alright everyone, we're back, and yeah, I was looking at this list here, and I think we're set. I think we have all of our dinos that are fully healed up. All of our boss dinos. So I think we should be fine to start this next fight. I'm gonna do a couple of things differently. I'm gonna put everything on neutral, just in case we get attacked and I can't respond right away. So everything's on neutral. Just make sure that that's going to go out. And I'm also going to turn off harvesting. So let's do resource harvesting, and let's push that out to everybody. Alright, so everybody's got the resource harvesting turned off. Just because I don't want to have like a bunch of stuff just stuck in the inventories and weighing them down. Especially in later phases when you get a lot more spiders. So that's pretty much it. I do go grab the stuff that we need. So we have everything that we need to activate the portal. And the portal is highlighted now. So this requires all 50. And I think we should be good to go. So I think the neutral thing is going to be great. And I'm going to put this guy on follow, just in case something happens. Let me make sure this one's not on neutral. Yeah, that was very weird that I was stuck in the ground. I'm not going to mount him yet. I'm going to stick next to him, but I'm not going to mount him. I do have a ring around me too, so it should be pretty easy to avoid the damage if I need to. Alright, so let's get this started. Let's go to the next step. And I'm going to drink these. It should help me with avoiding combat for the beginning, at least. Alright, so I'll see you in there. Alright, we're finally on it right away. See if we can get this attack off. There we go. Get some buffs on us. This is what we should have done at the beginning. So this fight is pretty straightforward. we just have to deal with the buffs. The spiders and stuff will spawn in from the Broodmother. Let's see if we can get over here. So we can surround them. There we go, it's better. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a lot of keeping the buffs up on your dinos, reducing the damage, making them do more damage, hope for the best. Alright, that was a interesting fight there. I think we hit our limit though for the minimum we can do. So what I'm gonna have to do is go hurry up and get all of these saddles, hopefully. Let's go grab the stuff first, let's do that, and then we'll go get the saddles. So yeah, we did lose quite a few in there. That was a pretty rough fight. She does so much damage. It's kind of hard to avoid that stuff. Let's see if we can get all of our saddles. Yeah, it's gonna be very fun doing that. I think we lost just about all of them. We had like, what, 5 up? Alright, let's see if we can find these. So yeah, we'll have to rebuild the army. So I guess the alpha is kind of out of reach. I'm gonna have to mutate these a little bit more in order to be able to pull off the alpha fight. But I think for the most part we know that what the limit is. Well, let's see, 1 saddle, really? I mean, it's not like that big of a deal if I don't get all the saddles, because these weren't very hard to make. I probably should go ahead and make the better ones, to be fair. But yeah, I did cheap out on the saddles a little bit. And the other ones aren't that much difficult. Alright, what's left? Let's see. We have 4 left. So yeah, this definitely isn't going to be good enough for the alpha fight. But at least we did get the gamma, the beta down, which is the 2nd level of difficulty. The next one is like a huge jump up. Well, not a huge jump up. The next one's like double the damage and double the attacks. So we probably need to go for something like maybe 20k health and probably more damage than this. This one survived with a decent amount. The problem is that the AoE damage from the Broodmother is crazy. So like the cone is like 180 degrees. So if everything's like lined up in front of her, it's really hard to take her out. But yeah, so that's it's very unfortunate. We do have to rebuild a little bit. Megatheriums are pretty quick. They just are very tedious to breed up. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm taking these into the next fight. I might just use these to kind of as a stepping stone to the future ones. So we'll have to come back with some better ones, probably a couple of more mutations. So I'm off to get into mutations with the Megatheriums and probably just get some better versions. And then probably work on the saddles as well. I'll probably take all the saddles off and then just go with some higher level saddles. I do have better saddles that we can put on these. And I think that should be good enough to take out the Broodmother. The Broodmother definitely is the hardest hitting boss. It's harder than the dragon, it's harder than the Megapithecus. And if you don't have the armor, it definitely shows for these things. But I also think that having 20k health is probably more of a benefit. Because I think some of these guys would have survived if they had had 20k health. Like we would have a lot more that would have survived from that fight. So yeah, better saddles and more health. What I need to do though is probably just go work on some breeding and try to get some mutations. Mutations for these aren't too terrible. We already have one set of mutations already, so just mutating the ones that we already have should be pretty easy. But yeah, I might spend the rest of this episode talking about mutations and how to mutate different breeds. So I'm gonna grab these, and we'll bring them back, and then we'll try to get them to work these into the next rotation of breeding. And yeah, I'll bring back all the other stuff that we have as well, and we'll kind of get that set up. So I'll see you back at the base. Alright, we are back at the base, and yeah, the fight didn't quite go as was expected. We did accomplish what we wanted to accomplish though, which was to defeat the Gamma and the Beta bosses. I didn't have any hopes to defeat the Alpha at this point. That does require a lot more time and a lot better saddles than what we had. I was kind of expecting that. I wasn't expecting all of the Megatheriums to die, but I was expecting us to at least defeat those two bosses, which we did do. So I'm happy about that. We did get some Ingrams. I didn't mention that before, but we did get some Ingrams. And look at our Techgrams. We really get the same stuff. We got a few other things like a ladder, but the bigger thing we got is the boots. So we do now have access to the boots that we can use. And if you don't have this Tech Ingram, even if someone else crafts you boots, you still can't use them until you actually unlock this Ingram. So it's always important to unlock these Ingrams, even if you aren't going to craft them right now. In future expansions, there are going to be boots that you can find in drops and whatever, and you're not going to be able to use them unless you actually unlocked this Ingram. So it's always good to unlock these now and have them available for later when they actually become better. So for the boots, there are some benefits to having these on. They do absorb damage, like all forms of fall damage. So if you fall from, the top of the skybox all the way to the ground, you will have that completely absorbed if you have element in your inventory. So it does require element to activate that absorption ability. But that's really the big thing for the boots. So there's some benefits to that, and once we unlock those and use them, I'll talk a little bit more about those. But just know that you do unlock those when you do defeat the Beta Broodmother. And so what I want to do now is I want to talk about the path to the Alpha Broodmother, and even the Alpha Dragon and the Alpha Megapithecus. The Alpha Megapithecus is probably the easiest out of the three bosses. The Alpha Dragon is probably the toughest, just because the amount of health it has. You really need a lot of damage to whittle down that health. And so mutations are the best path to get to defeating those bosses. So that's kind of the mechanic in the game that lets you bypass the difficulty of the game. Because with enough mutations, you can overpower any boss within the game. It just takes time, like everything else. It just takes a lot of time to get those mutations and then breed up an army with those mutations on you. So let's go over what mutations are first. And we do have an example of mutations. We can see that we have our Megatheriums here, and we do have a couple of Megatheriums that are mutated. And how do we know they're mutated is by we open up their inventory and we can look at their ancestry. And we can see that they have a mutation, 1 out of 20 mutations. And there is a maternal line and a paternal line of mutations, and you can see however many mutations they have from that line. And then you can also see the history of the parents. So it's always good to actually write out what their stats are on the parents when you start breeding them. Kind of like what I did here. This is a terrible example. Best stat doesn't really mean anything. But this one right here is a pretty good example of what we're trying to do. I can track health, stamina, weight, and damage. And so if I ever want to mutate any one of those stats, I can always tell what the mother had from the stats here. So these are the base stats for our Megatheriums. So we have these stats, and then we also have level 228, which is the level that they're at the base level. Unleveled, no extra levels added to them. I think they are imprinted. So if you're going to be doing any sort of mutations, you don't want to imprint on the dinosaurs, but you can imprint on them if you are using third-party apps or other ways to track the stats. But if you're just going purely in the game, you don't want to level them up ever, and you don't want to imprint on the parents that you're going to be using to mutate with. So I'll get to that a little bit more, but back to what mutations are. So mutations, let's bypass the stats that we started off with. And so this is the accumulation of all the Megatheriums that we've caught in the world. We've bred them until we got this stat line. So the 38 health, 38 stamina, 33 weight, and 46 damage. That's the combination of all of our Megatheriums put into this one Megatherium. So those are kind of the limitations on what we can get right now as far as like our Megatheriums. So if we want to get better stats for our Megatheriums, we have two options. One, we can go out into the world and find Megatheriums, catch them, and see if they have better stats. So we might be able to find, a 35 weight Megatherium, and then we can breed that in, and then we can increase this to a 35, so weight 35. And that would actually increase the total level to 230. So that's one way. Or another way is we could do mutations. So we can continuously breed the females until a baby randomly pops out with a mutation. And typically if it has a mutation, it'll have like a weird coloring. So this is not a normal coloring, these feet. The parents all have these like really pale feet. It's really hard to see at night, but there is a different coloration to these feet. See if we can look at it in the... Now, I don't even know how you would actually look up the colors. I don't think you can see the colors anywhere, really. But, yeah, it's a slight blue color that's a little bit darker than the white feet from these. It's hard to see here, but... Anyways, so when you do get a baby that has a mutation, it's going to have a different color. Sometimes. It might be the same colors in other instances. But typically you're going to identify the level, it's going to be higher. So if our base here is going to be 228, as far as like the unleveled versions, these came out as 230s. So we immediately know that there is a mutation in those babies. And like I showed before, we can also go and check the ancestors. So we see there's one mutation here. If we're continuing down this line, and we have 48 damage, we're trying to go for a 50 damage mutation, then this would turn into a 2 instead. So we'd have a 2 here. And then we would know that there's a mutation somewhere on this child that is being produced by these. And then the total level would be 232. So when you start breeding your Megatheriums, your army of Megatheriums, or whatever you're trying to breed, you're going to look for the higher levels. That's why I say it's really good not to level these things up, which I didn't do that for these. This is leveled up, and these are also leveled up, but I'll replace all the females with unleveled versions. These are just leftovers from the ones that survived the battle, and I'm just using them to get more females for our breeding process. So now that we know what mutations are, just increases in stats, we have to now explain how we get those. So the process is really simple. You just breed a male and a female that are your best stats until they pop out a baby that has a higher level and a higher stat. You check that baby. You could do that with the third-party apps, you can always go here and export. That's probably the best way to check. Or if you want to do this purely in the game, then you could just check each stat, like their health, stamina, oxygen, food, and then their weight and all that stuff. Check each one of these stats, compare it to the baby, and see which stat increased. And that's the other way you can do that. And so I would highly recommend just doing the export thing and then using an app like Ark Smart Breeder, and then you can quickly do that. Unless you really want to stick with just whatever's in the game. There's also mods you can use that will let you see the stats. And eventually you do get access to the tech binoculars. So those are like from the Alpha Overseer, so pretty much the final version of the final boss on the island. You will get some tech binoculars. I think these are it, maybe? I'm not sure what they look like. I think these are it. And that lets you actually see the stats of the dinosaurs. So you can actually see these numbers, these 38, 38, 33, 46. So it does help you with breeding, and as you move on to different maps, you can use those binoculars to help you further breed your mutations and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics. Just continuously popping out babies and checking them for stats. And how to increase your odds of getting mutations is you want to have more females, because the more females you have, the more babies you can produce at one time. And once you do produce a mutation, you want to have that mutation on a male. So right now I have 2 females. What I need to do is I need to have this female and breed with this male until I get an actual male with the 48 damage mutation on it. Just because that male can then go into that group of females and then replace this current male that isn't mutated. And then I can continuously breed that newly mutated male, that 48 damage male, with all the unmutated females until I get a better version of that male. Then I replace the male with the better version, and continuously doing that until I get to the point where I want to stop that. So let's say, for instance, my goal is to have 60 damage and 60 health mutations. So I would have to continuously take males, get them to where they're mutated, replace them, and then continuously do that. I would do that for the damage line, and then I would have a whole new breeding line just for the health males. And the health males, I would do the same thing. I would have them, breed and breed until I find a better health. So you can actually have like 2 different groups going. You can have the health line over here with like, let's say 8 to 10 females, and the damage line over here with 8 to 10 females. And then you can have both of those going. So it's really up to you how you want to approach this, or how fast you want to get this done. If you have a lot of time, you can just do it one at a time. Or if you don't want to spend a lot of time dealing with whether the babies are good or not, you can just do it one at a time. It really is up to you whether you want to do it really fast or whether you want to do it in a more comfortable manner. Because you're going to be setting timers, you're going to be having to check these pretty often. It's always good to like breed them all at the same time, because the timers are all the same, and then turn off the breeding. So when they all have their little ones, then you can then check them all. If they're good, you can let the good ones grow up, replace the male, or if they're not good, then you can do whatever you want with those. Use them for leveling other dinosaurs, whatever you want to do. If you're on a PvE server, I really don't know what you would do. You probably just put them over in the corner and then just unclaim them. So that's kind of the process. And then once you have achieved your goal, you would take your damage line and your health line and then breed those 2 together. Then from that point, you would then start breeding your army, like I did with these current ones. It's not a difficult process. It does take a little bit getting used to. So there's a lot of little things you have to learn and a lot of mistakes you're probably going to make. But that is the process of breeding. So I would always recommend monitoring these, especially if you're on a PvP server. Put them indoors. If you're on a PvE server, have some guards. Like I have these guys on, they're on neutral. So they're on neutral because if somebody comes in here and starts attacking these things, I don't want to lose my, let's say my 58 damage male because I didn't have something guarding it. So you really want to be very careful with that. Just make sure that you have something protecting. You can put turrets up too, and also works. Turrets are really good in case you might have like the rogue Rhino Gnathia come over the fence and start attacking your base. You want to have something to deal with it. So yeah, turrets are always good. Guard dogs of some sort, you know, like these guys work pretty well, or Rexes, whatever you want to do. So always protect your breeders. So yeah, that is pretty much it for mutations. If you need to go back and watch on how to breed things, there is a video that I did put out really early on in the series. I'll try to link it in the description so you can see what that video was. But there's not really anything else I want to go over on mutations. And I think that's pretty much it for this episode. Yeah, so we did do the 2 bosses, the Broodmother Gamma, Broodmother Beta. We do have those 2 heads that we can use that we need to use for the Overseer cave. So we need to hang on to those. You can do things like mount those heads in your base if you wanted to, so you can have like a collection. But you definitely need to keep those heads for opening the Overseer cave. And we'll get to that fairly soon once we at least beat the other 2 bosses on Gamma. Then we can go into the Overseer cave and deal with that one. That's the final boss of the island. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll be mutating. I'll also be probably mutating the Therizinosaurs. Try to get those in a better shape. I'm probably gonna work towards a 60 health, 60 damage version of at least Megatheriums and Rexes and Therizinosaurs. That's kind of the goal. Although I think these are odd numbers, so it would be probably 60 health, 59 damage for these guys, or maybe 61 damage. Probably 59 damage. I don't think I want to go past that too much. Yeah, these are also odd numbered, so it's +2, so these are odd numbered, so this would be 59 damage for these as well. But that's going to be it. I thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you. I appreciate the support you show the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.